For Chapter 5, Tutorial number 2, this particular object, we're going to use the traditional method that we've used. This one here is just a lot of different features, and we can use the default work planes for just about everything that we're going to be doing within this object. So we don't have to create any sketching planes, although we could, but it's not necessary if we set this thing up properly. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go to the extrude tool and I'm going to click on the top plane, and then I'll go to sketch view orientation so that I am lined up on that sketch view. Now the first feature, I am going to start by drawing a line. Now one of the things that I want to make sure that I do is I want to have a default plane that I can work with, and I know that this is my front plane right here, even though I'm drawing on the top plane. But my front plane, because all of the features for this particular object pretty much come off of the back of the object, I'm going to kind of draw everything coming out from my front plane. That way, when it's time for me to create everything, I'll have that default plane to work from. So I'm going to go back to my sketch view orientation, and I am going to start this by drawing down. So we'll come down in this direction, over, up, and then I'm just going to come back in and I'm going to make this square right now, but I will go back in and make that circular here in a few moments. So here's my initial sketch. This line here should be 64. That's probably going to throw everything out of whack just a little bit, but it's okay if it does that. We can just click and drag to kind of get things to go back down to where they're supposed to be. And now just by dragging those two lines down, you can see that everything shaded and it's no longer has open loops. So the overall for this is going to be 96. And again, I'm going to have to do a little bit of clicking and dragging to get everything to come back out right. For this dimension right here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and take the 20 that it calls for and add the 8 radius. So we're going to make this 28. The distance across here, I'm going to go ahead and make it the 16. And then the distance from the edge, from this edge up here, is 32. So we'll go to dimension and click here to here and make this 32. So I have no more weak dimensions or anything. I have a closed profile. I can say OK, and I can go ahead and extrude this thing, its total distance, which is going to be 16. So we'll come over here and we'll put in the 16 and select OK. Now when we look at this, we can see that I've got that default plane right over here. So I've got everything that I need to work with already on the model. I've got a feature that I've got to draw using this plane, and I've got a feature that I've got to draw using this plane. Now for the inside of here, I'm just going to use the round command and set up the radius to be 8. And once I set that up and just click these two edges, it'll round that over for me, so I don't have to go through and do that any other way. Now the second feature on here, we're going to be drawing right over here, and in the book it shows them drawing it with the fillet already in place, but once again I'm going to kind of omit the fillet in this particular instance, and I am going to just go ahead, or I'm going to omit the arc in this case and just go ahead and use a fillet. So I'm going to go to extrude, and on my placement I am going to select this plane. And now I've got a plane on here that I can work with, so I will use the project command to bring that line in, and then I'm just going to draw a rectangle, because essentially that's all I need in this case, and I do want to make sure that I get equal lengths on each of those. And now all I have to do is dimension the overall height. I don't have to worry about trying to put in an arc or anything else like that. So here I've got my feature at 48. I can go ahead and select OK, And now I need to extrude this feature, and you'll notice first I need to flip it the other way so that I can get the proper extrusion on here. And then this particular feature is 16. So I will change this to 16 and select my checkbox. Now the fillet is a full-length fillet coming from that 48. So if I just go to the round command and change my radius to 48 and select this edge, it should create that fillet without any problems. So now that I've got those first two features in, I need to begin creating the rest of my features, and I can do all of those from the back plane. So I'm just going to orbit around so that I'm facing the back, and I'll click extrude for placement. I'll just go ahead and select this back face. I do want to go to project so that I'm not recreating any work and use those two lines. And then I'm just going to draw in basically a rectangle right here. And I'm going to go ahead and dimension these. The height of this piece is 28, it looks like. I can never tell if these are 8s or 6s in here, but it looks like it's 28. And then the overall width is going to be 24 plus 8 plus 8. So that's going to come out to 40, I believe. Yeah, doing math in my head is not necessarily the best thing in the world. I can actually pull up the calculator if I need to and just go in here and do the 8 plus 8 plus 24, and it is 40. So I can go to my dimension command, and I'm going to select the left edge and the right edge, and I'm going to put in the 40. I can now draw a circle on that midpoint and give it a diameter of 24. Go to my delete segments command and delete the top of this and that segment in the middle, and then we'll delete these two segments right here because those are no longer necessary either. So now I've got the profile for that other shape that's going to be in here, and I need to go ahead and finish this. The extrusion distance for this particular feature is 42, and I want to take it the other way so that it comes out towards the front. Now, it looks like I may have a wrong dimension in here somewhere. No, it's just the way that I was looking at it. This does go beyond the halfway point, so it's not a symmetrical object at all. So I can go ahead and hit my checkbox to create that feature. Now the next thing I need to do is create the last feature. So we'll go to extrude again, click on the placement tab, select this edge again, and now I will project this edge, and then all I have to do is connect those two with a line. And that is the complete sketch for this particular feature. So if I go to here and finish my sketch, I can change the distance here to 12 and send it the other way and say OK. And then here we have Chapter 5 Tutorial 2 completed, using, for the most part, the method that is outlined in the book to create this particular feature.